when you're talking to a woman and you get into the flow state, everything suddenly clicks. You're funnier, you're more charismatic, you're much more confident. Now, the $1 million question is, how do you get there more consistently? Because most guys are depending on alcohol to do it. And let me tell you, it just gets you to a certain point with many drawbacks, and it makes you depend on an external substance. If you want to do it naturally, more consistently, this video is for you. And let me tell you, all of the things I'm going to cover are from a practice standpoint. I didn't just read about this or just invent it in theory. I spent a good portion of my 20s going out there and talking to thousands of women, developing this skill set and teaching it to hundreds of men. And in fact, when I met my current girlfriend, I was in flow state. So everything I'm going to cover again is based on real world application. If you're a guy who wants to have high quality dating in abundance for a period, or you want to meet your ideal long-term partner, then this is definitely going to help you. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share my screen because I've prepared a presentation that goes over the key things that you need and some graphics that are going to help you understand it. So, as you can see here, a lot to cover. Let's start from the top. I want to reiterate the flow state benefits in dating because actually there's one concept I didn't talk about, which is authentic communication. When you're in flow state, you're the real you. You're the you without the fucking filters and overthinking and just the logical things that are in your mind. You're just existing, you're just speaking, you're just acting, you're just interacting and sharing. And that allows you to connect with the women who are good fit with you and also helps them have an authentic communication because of the mirror law. It makes you more fun, it makes you more confident, and in just a summary, everything flows. Now, as I said, the key here is to do it consistently because if you can do it consistently, you have more power over yourself and more power over your emotional state when you interact with a woman. I'm sure that you've had it at some point where everything was rolling off your tongue and you just felt amazing, even a bit cocky because you were feeling so confident. Everything was going great on a night out or in a date that you were having. But how to replicate it so that it's not just a matter of luck or alcohol, but of actual skill that you have. Well, there's two paradigms in dating. Paradigm number one, you focus on the woman. What does this mean? It means that everything in your life, your goals, your opinions, your values, your topics of conversation, the interests, the sense of humor, the plans, the jokes that you make are viewed through the lens of, will this make that woman or women in general like me, or will this not make them like me? And if it makes them like me, then it's approved. If not, then you disregard it. And this is a very bad point where somebody can come from because there are many things that go wrong when you put the woman in the center of your universe. And this is not just, the cliche thing of, be a guy, focus on yourself, just forget about the girls, focus on your excellence. It's not about this at all. It's much deeper than that. And we're going to cover why. So what does this look like? What does it look like when a guy puts the woman in the center of everything in his life? Well, I'm going to give you an example, a very easy example with sense of humor. So when you put the woman in the center of your universe, and that includes the jokes that you make, your sense of humor, your goal, naturally, is to make her laugh. And the action that you do, because your goal is to make her laugh, is telling a joke that you think she will like. And by the way, this consciously or subconsciously. Sometimes you're not logically thinking about these things. It's just, running like a program, like a software in the back of your mind. So the goal is making her laugh. The action that you do is telling a joke that you think she'll like. And what you're internally thinking and feeling is, I want to be liked. Option number one, she finds it funny. You achieve your goal of making her laugh, so you feel good. And this is amazing. So at this point, maybe you're thinking, Armen, this is great. Let's pack our suitcases and go home. Well, no, sir, because there is option number two, which is she doesn't find it funny. You don't achieve your goal. And so you feel bad. And what happens when these are your two options? You do something, she likes it, you feel good. You do another thing, she doesn't like it, you feel bad. Well, your emotional state, which is how good you feel, over time, it's just a fucking roller coaster. It goes up, down, up again. And, let's say here you just started the date, you said a joke, she laughed, you feel kind of good. But then things turn a bit platonic, like a bit boring. You feel that she's losing interest, you feel bad. Then you spark up a topic of conversation which is very interesting for her, and you see that she's looking at you intently and you feel good. And then you tell a joke that she finds offensive, and she tells you that. You feel bad. And again, up and down, up and down. And the worst part is that your emotional state is tied to another human being's reaction and opinion of you. And what's going to happen, and the danger, is a downward spiral. So she doesn't like something you said, and you feel bad. And now you're second guessing yourself and less confident and a bit shy. And she likes you even less. And that makes you feel even more shy and even less confident. And she likes you even less. And you can see that it goes down and down and down and down until you're in the gutter. And this is overthinking. So you get to a point where everything that you think, is she going to like it? Is she not going to like it? And not even a date. Some guys spend, this type of emotional state in their life with their wives. Their emotional state is dependent on their wife. So happy wife, happy life, right? So one day she feels good, you feel good. One day she's in a bad mood, you're in a bad mood. I don't believe it's a way to live. And it's definitely something that pulls you away from being in the flow state. Because when you're overthinking, it's impossible to be in the flow state. Fucking possible. When you're downward spiral, it's impossible to be in the flow state. Impossible. So what is the alternative of focusing on the woman? What is the alternative that's going to allow you to consistently get into the flow state when talking to women? Well, it's when you focus on yourself. And again, let me make it clear. This is not a video where I'm going to tell you, just go to the gym and lift weights and then the women are going to come because you're a cool guy now. No, and I believe that's absolute bullshit. The way that you get good with women, the way that you achieve results in this area is by actually focusing on this area. Super crazy concept, right? So, but when I tell focus on yourself, it's not the typical gym pro advice. What I mean is that the lens that you use to judge and to create your goals, your opinions, your values, the topics of conversation that you have in a date and an interaction anywhere, your interests, the sense of humor that you have, the plans that you propose, the jokes that you make, it's viewed through the lens of you, of what makes you laugh, what makes you tick, what are the topics of conversation that make you be passionate. And when you have this, things look quite different. So you remember when we were talking about this, what does it look like when you focus on the woman and we have the goal of making her laugh and telling a joke that you think she'll like, thinking I want to be liked. Well, let's take a look at what happens when you focus on yourself. Well, the goal is making yourself laugh. So you tell a joke that you will find funny. And internally, what you're feeling is, whatever her reaction, I feel good. So you have two options. Again, option number one, Look how this starts. You have achieved your goal. We haven't even talked about the woman, by the way, in this example. First thing that we say, you have achieved your goal. Why? Because you told a joke that you thought would be funny for yourself and you fucking found it funny when you told it. So you feel good. And let's say after telling the joke, she finds it funny as well. Fucking amazing, even better, right? But let's go to option number two. These were things changed. Remember in the last example where she doesn't find it funny, you don't achieve your goal, you feel bad. Well, here it's completely different. Since you have already achieved your goal before even finding about her reaction, you feel good. She doesn't find it funny, you still feel good. And the graph looks very different. It's not an up and down and sideways and back and here and there. It's a straight line up. This is what you want with your emotional state. That with time, and this can be in the micro or the macro, in the micro, let's say in an interaction that you're having with a woman, as the seconds advance, the way that you feel is better and better and better and better. As the day goes on, your emotional state is better and better and better and better. As the date goes on, as the relationship goes on, in the micro, the interaction, the conversation, but also in the micro, in the macro, in the big picture, you also keep going up. And the funny thing is that when you pull your emotional state up, the woman automatically goes there as well because of the mirror law. She sees you having an amazing fucking time, and she's like, it's contagious. I want to feel that as well. She's pulled towards that emotional state. The example that I give always, you have a friend next to you. He starts yawning. What happens? Well, it's contagious. You start yawning as well. When you're when you're a kid, you're in class and very serious lecture, friend next to you, your best friend starts laughing and looking at you. And you don't even know why he's laughing. You start bursting into laughter as well. And then both of you get suspended, right? So emotions are contagious. You pull herself up as well. But going back into the flow state, the more you up your emotional state, so the better you feel, the quicker you get into that flow state. And the quicker you get into an upward spiral. Because again, you tell a joke, you find it funny, you laugh, the girl likes it, doesn't like it, doesn't matter. You feel good. The next joke that you make, you feel even more free, even more confident. And let me ask you, let's say, has it happened to you when you had, let's say, a public presentation and you were out there talking to people, you go up on stage and you're a bit tense, right? What happens after 1 minute? What happens after 2, after 3, after 4? You feel more relaxed, more warmed up, and your emotional state has gone up because you have proven yourself that you can do it. So, okay, I can keep doing it. The same happens with the gym. You go the first minutes, you're like, oh, fuck. Then after 10 minutes, you're better. After 30 minutes, you're even better. Well, this same upward spiral, you can create it in your dating life, in your emotional state. And the natural result, when you focus on yourself in terms of your interactions, is that you achieve that flow state naturally and consistently. And I'll give you some examples of my life. Because as I said, I spent a good portion of my 20s just going out there interacting with thousands of women. It was very frustrating for me when some nights that I went out, or even some days that I went out, I just couldn't get out of the rut, just I was in a bad mood when I go out, and then I even get in a worse mood, or even I was in a great mood when I go out, but then I approach a woman, I tell a joke, she doesn't like it, I feel bad, and then, this thing was happening. But then there were some times where I got into that flow state and I felt amazing, but I didn't know why or didn't know how to reproduce it. So again, I took close look at what was happening when I was getting into a flow state, and this was exactly what was happening when I didn't care that much about the reaction that I was getting from a girl, and I was getting into this upward spiral, and I was getting more confident, feeling better. The same with the dates. When I used to go on a date, and either it like the girl liked me from the beginning, or things were super stale and went down and went to the shitter. But when I started focusing on myself, sometimes you go out there and you're not feeling that good, but as time goes by, you make yourself feel better. You have an amazing interaction and date. Or sometimes the girl, she comes out, she's been working or she's had a bad day, and the first minute she's kind of like, not giving you much. But then you find out that you actually have a good connection. It's just that she wasn't in a good mood. It can happen to everybody. Imagine like a very close friend that you have. Sometimes he's in a bad mood, and even if you're super close friends, he's still in that mood, bad mood. But after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, everything changes, right? Well, the same can be applied to your dating. And I got obsessed with, taking this graph of how good I felt in the emotional state and the time, and compress the time and expand how good I felt. So as quickly as possible, get into that flow state. And that's when I, coined the concept of my emotional buttons, finding what makes you tick. Emotional button of fun, of passion, of arousal. When you find these, you elevate your emotional state very quickly. And I told you, when I met my current girlfriend, I was on state. I was in this flow state, right? And I remember that I met up with a friend in the center of my city, and it was the first girl that I talked to, the, actually the only girl that I talked to that day. And it's not like I warmed up and spoke to a lot of people and then I was in a flow state when I met my girlfriend. It wasn't like that at all. I met with this friend. We spoke for 3 minutes. I see my girlfriend. She was with her sister. I approach her and I'll tell you the detail, the exact moment when I got into the flow state, and it was instant. It was the way that I opened the interaction. I go up to her, in front of her. She was waiting in front of the traffic light. And I said the first thing that was in my mind. I said, "Hi, I'm Armen." Nothing else. And that alone got me into flow state. Why? Because I didn't overthink the way that I started the interaction. I wasn't logically like analyzing whether if this angle is the correct one, whether this phrase is going to be funny or witty. No, I just said that, and it just looking into into her eyes, and instantly I was super active, super present, felt super great. The interaction that we had following that was super fun. We still remember some of the jokes that we're making in that interaction. I felt super confident. I, got her number. We spoke for like 4 or 5 minutes. And again, that's the power of being able to consistently get into that flow state. Once you get into a habit and really develop yourself and find out what makes you tick, this is not some sort of hack or trick or magic pill that you just apply in 1 second. But my hope with this video is that if it took me years to get to that point, you could do it in months. You could take these and start using it and start feeling the difference. Because The action that I want you to take is that in the next interaction that you have, the next approach, the next date, just everything that you have, put it towards the lens of focusing on you. You'll have that like authentic communication. You'll be radically honest. You'll filter for the woman that you want. But in my opinion, the best thing is that you get into that flow state consistently and super quickly. So I hope it was useful for you. And just to sum up, the benefits are authentic communication, fun. You're much more fun. You're much more confident, much more charismatic. Everything flows. Most men are on the left. They focus on the woman. They put her in the center of everything in their life, the goals, the opinions, values, topics of conversation, everything else that they have. And when they interact with her, internally, they're like, I want to be liked. So their emotional state is up and down, and they fall into overthinking. You want to do the complete opposite. You focus on yourself. Everything in your life is focused on yourself. When you interact with a woman, you tell the jokes that make you laugh, the topics that interest you, the plans that you want to do. And whatever her reaction, you feel good. And your emotional state is much more consistent. It's a straight line up. And the natural result is the flow state. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more help in this area, you can go to armengaribian.com. That's my website. And if you like this style of video, which is something new here, just put it in the comments. This whiteboard style where I make a presentation. And if you have any other topic that you think would be useful to discuss here, that you would like me to talk about, you can also put in the comment. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.